So today I got some new stuff for you guys. Some more pots. I had work today and I went in, and on my drive home it was snowing so bad. I saw all sorts of people crashed and like just not really knowing what to do, and I'm sure like tow companies are like overwhelmed during these times, so it's so crazy to just see all this like chaos happening around you while you're driving really slow down the highway, right? I don't know. I'm not really like driving slow down the highway very often, and so in these moments, like everything becomes very, very interesting, I guess, just to be a bystander in these moments, right? And then I was gonna get some food because I'm hungry and I don't really have that much food here, to cook. Just because when I get meals, I like to get meals like almost like 1 or 2 days in advance. And I don't get enough food for a week. I just get enough food for those 1 or 2 days. I started doing that, and I realized that it made me like eat a lot cheaper, right? Like I wasn't eating like some like crazy not eating a lot of food of the stuff I would buy. So I'd get a bunch of food thinking I'd buy it or eat it, and then all of a sudden like a lot of it would just sit there. And so I stopped doing that, and I started just getting enough food for 2 days on what I want, and then I ended up saving a bunch of money that way. So um, just because I'm eating the food that I get rather than like letting it go bad. Here I am. I'm gonna swap here to my head cam. You can see just taking that clay down and putting it up here. But I couldn't get some food today, so I'm gonna be making pasta. And with hot dogs. Pasta and hot dogs. Doesn't that sound delicious? So I ran out of asparagus. I was eating asparagus is like my fuel food. I will eat so much asparagus. Here, I'll do a little. But my asparagus is like my fuel food. I eat asparagus like non-stop, right? And it's like really, I don't know if it's healthy actually, but I do enjoy it. My pee always smells after I eat asparagus, but in my mind I kind of like it because it just means that, I ate the food, right? Sometimes you eat food and it's just like doesn't do anything. I kind of like when there's a result to consuming something, right? There we go. We're collaring that in there. But I've been doing all my classes this week because they're starting all back up. It's been kind of interesting. Just sort of try to teach a fresh batch of people, right? Just because a lot of these people I've never met before, so it's kind of interesting seeing like what their different levels are. And then also one of my classes is now it's like ceramics throwing level 2, and they didn't even tell me that I was going to be teaching this level 2 class, which like I think like realistically like I'm probably one of the more advanced throwers that teaches at some of these places. But I'm always teaching kids and like level 1 things. I think a lot of it's because of my age, but I don't really mind. So it's kind of cool that I didn't have to give a whole spiel on like what's going on in some of these classes, right? I didn't have to give them a whole spiel on like how everything works necessarily. I can kind of just go into some of the more difficult aspects of ceramics with him, so that's been kind of fun, right? And then obviously like getting compliments from people, but it doesn't really do anything for me. You know, it's nice to hear the compliments, but the compliments, like sometimes compliments are there to distract you from your goals, so you don't obviously like in the moment accept the compliment, right? Because don't be that guy who just is like annoying whenever somebody compliments them, but when you're alone, don't let those freaking compliments take over. You can't let them, you know, like, what's the word? You can't let them dictate your next move, right? Especially since I think now, like, nowadays, like, people throw around compliments for, like, fucking doing nothing. And so, I think, I've always thought that whenever I hear a compliment, I just kind of dismiss it. It's not going to change anything on how I'm feeling or what I'm doing that day anyway, so that's kind of my mindset on that. This one's kind of a weird twist. It's going to be a taller twist. It's a little bit thicker on the bottom, so it's going to want to collapse more easily on the top, but let's see how thin we can get that. Maybe it'll collapse in on itself. Maybe not. This one's kind of cool. And so this is the sad part, is I don't have my wire tool, so I can't do any of the more floral things today. The flowery skirts. What I'll have to do is I'll have to do more of what's the word? I'll have to do more of what the hell? The flaps, like in flanges, rather than the flowery cutted skirt. All I'm doing here is I'm just taking up. There we go. I don't know why sometimes it gets. That's the only thing that I think is a problem with using this GoPro right now, is that it automatically switches if it senses that it's. And then whenever I bend down to like move my head, sometimes it will swap angles and it just won't switch back. So it's a little bit, frustrating. I think I'm just gonna be very still with my head maybe. Or I need to figure out what's the thing that's tracking, if it's upright. And then I just need to rip that out of there. Okay, whatever. Okay, so 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. Look at that. Looks great. Great. Taking this tool, I'm just going right up underneath here, and you'll see it peek up here in a second. It's kind of fun to just throw with only 2 tools. Makes things a little bit different, but alright, here's the first one, guys. Oh, there's number 1. Great, set that over there. Alright, let's get into this next one here. I'm thinking about this pot, and maybe this next one I'll talk a little bit more about what I'm doing. And maybe I'll keep the more personal anecdotes out of the second pot. Sometimes I get a little bit distracted. It's a little bit weird, and so when I'm doing that there, right, I'm thinking about the angle in which I could get it closest to center when I'm pushing it down here. And so you can see I'm kind of just doing CPR on it, and that's good enough, right? And so I just took the edge and put it face down just because it was a little bit more like a pancake. And so that way I could just pat it down a little bit easier. And so that's what I'm thinking about when I'm trying to get that stuff all nice and centered there. Curve down on that there. It's one. I'll go back down to the bottom here. Take that up. Great. And we're just going to slowly write this down the side there. Pushing this down. My hand's drifting up, and then the palm of my hand's pushing down. And you can kind of see it peaked up here, right? It like wanted to take that chunk and lift up. And so then I have that perfect little lump on the side here to just skate my hand right underneath, and then start pulling that up again, right? Oh, tearing it a little bit in the middle. That's okay. Here, you can also, right, you never need to really use two hands if you're using the profile of your hand properly. It's just from your thumb down to the bottom here. Just this area right here is doing a majority of the work, right? And so if you can really master that, you're in a great spot when you're doing all your other throwing stuff. Okay. Making this hole here, I guess I'll sort of show you guys that stuff. So here I am making that hole. I'm in that Captain Hook fingers, right? And it's just on the tip of my finger, not on the pad of my finger, right? On the tip of my finger. I'm going across and cutting through, almost cutting out the bottom of the pot there, right? And it usually does a really good job of keeping it on center. And then I also don't have to use as much like arm strength or finger strength to move it around, right? Slowing my speed down just a hair. And I'm taking my thumb up underneath here on this ledge, and then this hand, that's all it's doing is drifting up and across, as well as going up along with my other hand. So you'll see. And there we go. So now we're gonna dip over here, open that up just a little bit. Taking my knuckle, you can see, driving that right underneath. Then I'm lifting that up. It's pretty good. Collar this top little flange in. Ring around, finger right around that top edge there. I'm going to go down for another pull. You can see, as you go down for this next pull here, I'm getting right underneath and slowly bring that up. You'll see that it's just sort of sneak out, but we're not going to let it. Keep our finger in very direct pressure there. We can just carry that clay all the way up there. Look at that, guys. Looking great there. Get back to here. And from this point, I'm going to be collaring in ever so slightly. This top half here is just so thin. I almost don't even want to do another pull, but we'll just try it out for shits and giggles, right? A little bit thick on that top edge there, but that's okay. So there's our pull. I mean, that was a really good pull. Let's see if I can fit my hand down the bottom. Yep. Just sponge out that bottom inside there. Great. Great. Now we're gonna start our little making our motion here. We're actually gonna be very slow. We want it to go up, kind of straight there. Up, kind of straight. So this way, it'll be pretty tall tree, hopefully. Unless it totally twists up and collapses. But I try to be a little bit more straight up rather than coming across until I got to the top there. The top is going to get really funky. It's just so thin, so I already know that it's not really going to be with what I want it to do. So maybe I just... put that little rip there. It's kind of really interesting. It almost looks like this top part is just floating off. It's not even on there. It's kind of a weird looking pot. Coming down here, wrapping my pinky around. So now I have a nice little ledge. I'm going to kick up this ledge with this tool. You can see that started getting kicked up there. Looks kind of interesting. Take my... oh, it's not even underneath. Still. Okay. It's kind of weird to do it with that tool, to be honest. Okay. Looks pretty good, and then we're going to flange these in. I'm going to do in flange, out flange, in flange, out flange. Always got to be making those mouth noises whenever you're doing stuff like that, guys. I'm telling you, it will improve your ceramics by a measurable margin. There we go. Looks pretty good. And this is this pot, guys. Pretty cool. Okay. We got one more ball of clay. That one I try to talk a little bit more about what I was doing, but I think I sort of went silent in some moments and didn't say that much, especially when I was throwing. So on this one I'll be a little bit more professional when it comes to those moments. I am rolling this clay over to me. It's not fun whenever you have to get your clay wet to do this, right? So now it doesn't even want to stick to the top there. So that's pretty annoying. So don't do that. Down. Alright, so now I'm going to be opening up my clay here. opening up my clay here. When I'm doing it, I just want to be making sure, being very still whenever I'm going. I'm not going 2 thumbs on the outside pushing outward, right? It's down, straight down, right? If you give uneven balance to one side more than the other, all of a sudden you can kick things off center. This is already off center a little bit. You can see I'm doing that same sort of fingertips hooking up underneath like we did last time. And then right here, I'm actually going to compress that edge a little bit. And so hopefully that can open up my options on what to do there. When I start this thing, my thumb's tucking right underneath, and then my left hand's pushing it towards the center just like last time. Look at that. Great. And then I'm going to open it up, going down to the bottom a little bit, taking my knuckle here up underneath the pot on the side here. My knuckle's hanging out. And you almost want to be feeling that interior finger with your exterior knuckle, right? Or your finger, it doesn't matter really on the outside what you use. But you want to be able to feel that finger on the interior, right? And so that's why I do that claw grip too, is it helps me out so much at the beginning stage so that I can feel my fingers. A little bit wide there. Color that in. Starting right about the middle, right where it's thinner than the rest of everything. I'm hooking my fingers right here, right around that edge, to sort of keep it from going a little bit too wacky. I'm also going to be slightly pulling this up ever so slightly there. Great. We're going to do one more pull, and then we'll sort of see where we're at from there. Fingers down, over top. It's thin there, so I want to be a little bit more gentle when I'm finishing off that pull. And again, pretty nice pull. You can see some slight undulations. It's a little bit thin, too thin in that middle area. If you wanted, you could always take a rib and smooth that all out. But for me, alas, I always see potential in those moments. But maybe it will be funky this time, and we'll add like a spiral or something. Oh no, there's a hard chunk. We don't want that in there. Okay, so I'm down at the bottom. I'm feeling my finger there. And then I'm just slowly taking this all the way up the pot. People love spirals, so if you do this sort of thing, it's an eye catcher for individuals. They like this stuff. Okay. And then now I go up, I go up, I go up, and I go up. Okay, so now we have these really big buckling out spots right here. So I'm going to just try to push these in. There we go. Perfect. So that way it's all going to sit down on one nice spot here. I'm taking my fingers, spreading them out a little bit wider. Spider pull. And when I get to that spider pull, I'm slowly going to actually also be lifting that up. Right, we want something. We want some belly, something happening on that inside there, right? And I think we'll leave it just like this, guys. I don't want to go too crazy on the top here, just because I think there's enough happening on the bottom. The inside has this cool buckling edge. I can show you that. There we go. So you can see, maybe you can't. There it is. You see that elbow that's sort of happening there? It's rotating around. You can see it's kind of cool. It almost looks like a zigzag, like a lightning bolt or something hit the pot. So that's kind of a cool, you know, thing. But now I'm up underneath here, taking some of this clay off the side there. Just gonna take just the tip of the tool and be sliding that up underneath. I'm also kind of trying to be cautious. Because it seems like it's dipping down and I start seeing some splitting happening on the inside there, so I just don't want to, I don't want to screw things up. So again, I'm using my pinky down. Once I get it to a nice thickness, then I'm going to just slowly take that out. You can really see it wanting to freaking dive. Chill out, bro. Look at this thing. Look how sideways this is. Come on, friend. Get back on that center. Right, and that's all I'm doing is I'm continuing that twist, right? And so it doesn't even look like I touched it from the interior, right? It just looks like it's adding on to the twist that's already been established, right? There we go. I'm gonna take these ones in. I don't even know what I'll do. Maybe I'll do some weird ones here. I'm taking that, just curving that. Kind of cool. Have some interesting little splotches here. I'll show you guys up closer maybe. You guys can see these moments. They're kind of a cool little thing. Again, I'm taking my tool right underneath there. Trying to take up some of that water. Some of that agua. Get that there. And there we go, guys. The third one. Open this one right over. There's that. Maybe I can even go a little bit closer. Sweet. Alrighty. Now I gotta do a thumbnail for this video. So I'm gonna set this over here, and now I have to slowly tiptoe around because I'm plugged in, and I don't wanna unplug some wires that is gonna disconnect anything. That's like literally the most irritating thing, is to manage this thing behind my head. I feel like it's just constantly wanting to work against me. Okay, there's two. We just need one more pot. Okay, come on. Alrighty, there we go. We'll chill out over here. Realize that I have a little bit more space on this side, but maybe like this. Sweet. And last but not least, the fist bump. It's coming at you guys. Watch out. Thanks for watching on The Best Strong Mentality. Peace.